So I've recently been in a discussion with someone about mathematics and the role that mathematical language plays in different kinds of observations. And I thought that what I would try to do here is to give, I guess, a little bit of a blurb for Alfred Korzybski's book, Science and Sanity. This is the fifth edition, and it is, this is the cover of it. And Korzybski's work really does rely a great deal upon math as a language. Now, I think to professional mathematicians, they may say, well, what exactly is Korzybski doing with his discoveries? I mean, he was trying to study the history of mathematics, look at the history of logical typing problems, and he really came to see mathematics to be the ultimate language of humanity, that if there is a possible sanity, a kind of realistic optimism, not some fancy pie in the sky optimism, but a realistic optimism for a saner society, what he was going to call a more adult phase of society, it was by looking to mathematics for the kind of structure that the language of mathematics provides, and then see if we could offer something similar to that. Now, I don't fully agree with Korzybski. Okay, I'm on the board of trustees for the Institute of General Semantics, and I really, I believe that Korzybski was a brilliant scholar. And please, people, if you haven't read Science and Sanity or the 37 Olivet College lectures or any of his, I mean, Korzybski has a lot of books. Go check out his stuff. What I want to get at is why he found mathematical language to hold the promise of a saner society and a richer, I guess, greater possibilities for controlling or getting a handle over the way humans react to one another and even to the world around them. Now, I think one of the things that's important to maybe underscore is that Korzybski thought that we are organisms that have what he called semantic reactions. We kind of just react to the world around us without really realizing what we're doing. And, these reactions are based not on the world so much as our abstractions from the world. And one of the key abstractions would be language. Now, certainly the abstractions happen in different neurophysiological ways, but it's the kind of abstraction that language itself that creates a I guess a platform or a playing ground, I guess, or a basis for the semantic reactions that people have when they're interacting. Oftentimes, it's not what people are saying, but that people use words that, in his terms, are overdefined and underdefined. That is, people think they know what the word means, and then they overreact to it, and then the conversation gets derailed. And what Korzybski wanted to show is that the world itself is this once occurrent, ever-changing event, but that language is just really a simple kind of map of an infinitely complex, always different world. And so he suggests this kind of non-identification. He says that the map is not the territory, he says the word is not the thing, and that people need to train their semantic reactions to become more and more aware of the fact that language is never the things, language never is that which it represents. So, you can't sit on the word chair, the word water doesn't make you wet. There's an infinity of examples as you could give, but for Korzybski, the easy examples that we can give sort of playfully, those help to tease the mind, to help delay the semantic reaction, to become more aware of the abstractive process. But he thought that math itself gave the best exemplar. And so, Sylvester, one of the great mathematicians that Korzybski was interested in, he defined math as a language which was interested in similarities between differences and differences between similarities. And to try to see math as an abstract grid that it has the capacity to, I guess, give us useful or less useful knowledge on how well the map represents the territory, but ultimately, no matter how well it represents the territory, the map is not the territory. Even the best map is still a map. Okay? And I think for Korzybski, he thought, and I think this is partly right, that mathematicians really understand this. And so take this 2 plus 2 equals 4. I take that expression, 2 plus 2 equals 4. When we think about that, it's you're using these placements of the number and you're using them sort of as a function and a variable, and then you make some statement. And the kind of statement is one where the person who's using that statement, they don't ever run around and look in the world for this thing called a 2. Now they would fill it in with a particular case at each point. They would say, well, here there are 2 apples, or here are 2 oranges, or here is, an apple and an orange, so there's 2 pieces of fruit, or however they're going to do it. But they're going to realize that the number is an abstract, empty variable that, although you can perform calculations on it, the kinds of calculations you have to understand that it will be filled in by a more particular, an actual entity that fills in that abstract concept of 2. Right? They don't think of 2 as an empirical phenomenon. And in that sense, mathematical language seems to offer a, a recognition of the non-identification between the map and the territory. Now take, on the other hand, as much as we think this might be a good, insightful way of talking, or as much as someone might like the statement, imagine this statement. Someone says that truth is freedom. Again, take the statement. Truth is freedom. For Korzybski, that borders on nonsense. Not that he would disagree with it, but he would say these are just ridiculously abstract terms. We don't really know what you mean by truth. We don't really know what you mean by freedom. And unlike the 2 plus 2 equals 4 example, where we don't know what you mean by the 2 because it could be a 2 apples, or it could be 2 oranges, or it could be 2 chickens. We don't know what the 2 is, but at no point did we ever react to it as if it did have a filled in meaning. The truth is freedom example, unfortunately, everyday language, mother tongues, we don't know how to make our semantic reactions sit still. It's as if we fall into a kind of identification. We start to react as if there is this thing there called truth, there is this thing there called freedom, and now we're almost out there looking around in the world as if we could find some of it. We're going to look for some truth or some freedom, and people haggle about it in a way that they would never do that about 2. They would go, 2 what? See, I think what Korzybski came to discover in the way that mathematical language uses function and variable and is able to see words or symbols as concepts which deal with similarities and differences, and we never really semantically react to them in an identifying way. Instead, we always maintain this kind of non-identification, this recognition that the word is not the thing. I don't think that this is without flaws, right? There's all kinds of problems with Korzybski's position, particularly in the problems of poetics and in other forms of language, different linguistic genres, speech genres. But the general point that mathematical language offers an exemplar case of a kind of semantic reaction that gets made quiescent or sort of laid flat and stilled because it's always recognized as a map per se, and people don't ever get caught into thinking that they could be talking about something other than just the words that they're making. I think the more that people could realize that no matter what you say, these are not glasses. Glasses are a noise that comes out of my mouth. This is not a stapler. Stapler is a noise that comes out of my mouth. This is not a pen. Pen is a noise, comes out of my mouth. The more that people could learn to think about language with a fully robust non-identification and to see their semantic reactions in their mother tongue, the equivalent of mathematics. For Korzybski, it would be the beginning of a kind of sanity. Okay, thanks.